The views and opinions expressed by the guests of Sasquatch Experience do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the hosts, sponsors, or affiliates of the Sasquatch Experience. As always, listener discretion is advised.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Does a legend walk among us, lurking in the forests of our world?
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my sensor light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something. It looks like a man. I don't know what it was.
For over 15 years, we've talked with scientists, researchers, investigators, and witnesses, trying to gain insight and proof around the existence of this mysterious entity.
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
Deal!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Join us as we continue into the investigation of the Sasquatch Experience. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sasquatch Experience for Monday, October 23rd, 2023. I'm Sean Forker with James Baker, Henry May, and Matt Arner. Episode 81 tonight, Bigfoot Video II, as we had previously done a Bigfoot video episode earlier. Not missing Vance Nesbitt, but Vance is out tonight with a medical issue, and we do wish him a speedy recovery. So with Vance being out this week, buddy, we'll miss you. Take the time, heal up, get well soon, and there will not be a Bigfoot bulletin this week. So for folks that tune in for that, sorry to disappoint you, but I know he'll be back in the saddle. He messaged me earlier and said he really wish he could be here, but I told him to take the night off. I want him to be healthy and in a good frame of mind when he's coming on the show, not worrying about us guys, worrying about, doing well and getting better, right? That's what we really care about. Baker,
Absolutely.
Henry, Matt, how you guys doing tonight? While we take a minute there.
Oh,
how are you?
doing very well here.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah. So this is what happens when we used to having a chatty Cathy with us. Nobody knows what to do with the awkward pauses.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. We got to bust Vance's balls a little bit, even though he's not on with us tonight. We do know Vance is one for the chattering, and he keeps us all on toes. So we'll get our pacing here amongst us. But some great things that have been going on, guys. 30 best Bigfoot podcasts you need to follow. FeedSpot, of course, is one of those internet aggregators, always constantly ranking and looking at material. We made the number one spot again. It's the second time in the row.
Awesome.
We are the number one of the top 30 best Bigfoot podcasts to follow. And part of that is for originality, expertise. There's a bunch of criteria that goes into it. So for the folks at FeedSpot, we're grateful for your continual support and continuously ranking us. This is the second month in a row we've been rated the number one must-follow Bigfoot podcast. Considering we're one of the oldest, that's a pretty remarkable achievement, right? Been doing this since 0506, and it's been a long journey. We took a little bit of a sabbatical, but we've been back, and I know at times we've kind of lost our footing, but I have to tell you a really nice comment from our buddy Alasquatch, Larry Beans Baxter. And they were talking about the Bigfoot show. Matt, you brought this to my attention this week.
Yes.
And how there's too many eyewitness-driven Bigfoot shows. And, to his point, there are a lot where everything's like driving it home. But we've kind of always, we've had some shows where we're talking about witness sightings. But we've always kind of just been a general variety kind of discussion show. going back to those old days of that's what the shows, really were. And, in the days of creepypastas and crypto fiction, I'm glad that we can still kind of keep to our convictions and still do true kind of research driven, conversational based podcasting on our favorite subject, of course, which is Sasquatch.
I'd like to add what I generally, when I go out to do my research, I'll listen to this podcast and a few. There's a few other podcasts I do listen to that feature, the researchers, anything coming up new. On the return trip, I just have that, like, I just got to get that, like, Sasquatch Chronicles or something like that, something that,
Right.
kind of. But on the way out, it's listening to where the research is heading. Things to look for, things that are coming out now that could be utilized in the field, and but again, once you're out in the field and you've been climbing those mountains, and then it's time to come home. Then it's time to listen to those different experience podcasts. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure for me. So
Most definitely. But I think also the fact we're getting older, so those return trips from the mountains need a little bit more recovery time. So those podcasts
absolutely.
kind of give us that time
absolutely.
to recover, but also get us back on our toes, right? And again, folks, everybody, you're allowed to enjoy this in whatever way, shape, or form you'd like.
Mhm.
If witness-inspired podcasts are your thing, Mazel tov, go for it. Like, we're not telling you that there's a right way or a wrong way to enjoy your Bigfoot research, but our way is the way we've been doing it for a long time. The downside to our way is we don't get the clickbait and the fantastical drives to the show. It's a slow burn, but I have always felt good that we've always kind of remained true to our convictions, right? We haven't had to rely on clickbait. We haven't had to have had sensational headlines to
Or take
drive
our
interest
top
for the
off.
show. Well, you've taken your top off, James, but we haven't had to do things that kind of compromise the integrity of what we do, right? So I'm always proud of that. And again, you guys love and do your Bigfoot the way you want to. It's just nice to get the recognition, one of the top 10, 30 best Bigfoot podcasts to follow. And a shout out from our good friend Larry Beans Baxter at Alasquatch. It's just a little bit of an honor, and we appreciate that. Thank you. Bill Rigby says, "Hi guys, how you doing?" Hilly Billy down there in
Hey,
the
Bill.
Sharon, Pennsylvania, our buddy out there. The other listeners, thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll try to acknowledge you as we go through. Henry, you got your copy of the Bigfoot Times from BigfootTimes.net. Daniel Perez. There were some interesting books coming out here. Do you want to touch on that real quick? Some things that I think our listeners need to get the wallets out and start getting ready for.
Yes, there is a new book coming out, which is by Dustin Severs. It's called The Abominable Snowman of California. And there have been a couple of recommendations already for the book by Stephen Stroyford and Thomas Steenberg. And that's BigfootTimes.net, by the way. Daniel has a list of, he's attempting to list every single book ever written on Sasquatch or Yeti or other related cryptids. And he's got it on his website, BigfootTimes.net. You guys want to check it out.
Henry, didn't you used to have a compilation site?
A what?
Didn't you used to have a bibliography blog?
I used to, but I think I may have taken it down. Don't know why, but
Are you keeping a list?
Daniel, I'm trying, but Daniel is way ahead of me.
Henry's conceding. Henry, damn it, you got to get your throne back, man.
One thing that I found is you have the bibliography pages, but if you follow Henry or if you follow Daniel, they'll post when these books come out, if they get a read on it, if they and Henry and Daniel have given incredible reviews of the book. So having them go through and again, the two of them are the two encyclopedias for the Bigfoot world. So hearing from them is definitely a big plus.
Yeah, most definitely. You couldn't get two greater guys to get a little Bigfoot knowledge from, right? It
Mhm.
looks like Henry blushed a little bit, and you made him blush, and he got
Yeah.
shy. There, man, disappeared. But honestly, and the other book, of course, Henry Franzoni wrote his book, Failing in a Cooler Way, Why I Never Found Bigfoot. And I'm anxious to read that one. Henry, I met
Mhm.
many, many years ago virtually on the internet. And if you followed my presentations, we always do this little ditty about how it was never really safe to meet strange men and talk about big, hairy things on the internet. But back in the early 90s, it was a little safer
Yeah.
than it is today. And that's how a lot of us first met up and talked. And I think when Cliff and I were in Ohio, we were talking about our first internet exchanges way back in the day when I was just a snot-nosed kid. And I'm still a snot-nosed kid to some people. But, I see these folks that, I respected and admired for a long time pushing out some books. The fact I haven't written mine or finished it yet. I've written some of it. I haven't finished it yet. Matt's the only one that has seen any of
Mhm.
this. Gives me hope that, you know what, one day I'll get it out there. I'll get that book finished one day.
I'm working on a book as well, but it's a fictional piece. So I believe I've told you guys about that before, and it's kind of timely right now. It was about. I'll just go briefly over the synopsis. There's a major league scout that is down on his luck, and he's out hitting all these little towns, trying to find the next big baseball star. His car breaks down in the middle of the Sierra Madres, and he finds a Bigfoot, and somehow he gets the Bigfoot to play baseball. I haven't figured out a name yet, but I think it would
It's
be good.
it's going to be a great book, and
It
Disney's going to
is.
be knocking on your door to
Yes.
make this.
Sasquatch in the outfield?
I
No,
could,
that's
yeah, we could.
mm,
I'm taking all sorts of ideas for names. So,
Bigfoot at bat. I don't know
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
You'll find
My
something.
Harry home run.
My Harry home run.
All right.
I may
Oh,
not have to
God.
pass that off. Yeah, that may
Put
be
that in
it.
the right book section. You might sell a couple hundred before people really realize what
Yeah,
it is. Okay?
exactly.
Say, My Harry
Yeah.
home run was also the nickname of Baker's authored prom night rendezvous story. He sold the letters to Penthouse. So
Oh
anyhow,
boy.
let's get back to why
Hey,
people came
back
in
in
here
the
to talk
80s,
tonight.
there wasn't much grooming. Whatever.
Oh, good God. We knew he was going to
Hey, it
go
wasn't
further.
just big hair up here, okay?
Stop. Ow. Good God, man. It's a family show of some sort. I started it. I own it. So, we got, good God, now I lost my train of thought. We talked about the books there, following my train of thought. Squatchnuts.com. Terrible segue. Send us a.
Did she get a bag of eating nuts?
Stop it. Squatchnuts.com sent us a message on Instagram promoting their Bigfoot field guide they have written, and it's pretty wonderful. So go to squatchnuts.com and check out the field guide. It's a great resource for our budding Bigfoot enthusiasts out there to go and get familiar with the wilderness and different activities that could be Bigfoot related. So on
So
the
do they
really
sell
odd,
nuts?
timely pass segue that is leading to no good direction, let's get into the topic of tonight's show, which is
Let's watch
Bigfoot videos. And folks, if you're here, no stranger to what hit the internet last week, the deluge of just commentary over this video from California or Colorado. I don't know why I said California. Colorado. Yep. Thank you, Henry. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll show it. You guys can see it. Where we go here, and then we'll talk about it. And play. Play that one more time because I think I screwed it up. Oh. She's going to need to go to therapy. There we go. Now, you guys have seen this time and time again, right?
Yes. Bigfoot on a hill,
Yeah.
wandering by, and then my boss actually sent it to me because we were talking about stuff, and he needed to kind of unload on something different. But yeah, we know you can't see the video yet. We're working on that.
Yeah, I kind of butchered that one, but we'll get it better as we go through here. But anyhow, as you saw, it was that Bigfoot from the train footage in Colorado, Matt. You know, one of the issues I had with that footage was, you know, just quite simply the fact that the resolution just wasn't there for really, you know, the image blended right into the background. Definitely not a. It really looked costumey. It really did. Very baggy legs
on the bottom of the feet.
Right. And I think the more annoying thing about it is that all the conversations and people contacting us afterwards to ask us what we think of it, like blatantly obvious that it's, you know, a kind of a tongue-in-cheek video. But Steve Coles over on Squatch DTV did a really good breakdown on this in one of his deep dive segments.
Yes, he did.
Go to squatchdtv.com. He really goes into it. I mean, he lines up the mapping because one of the California or the I keep saying California Sasquatch expedition campers there in Colorado near where this train was going through. They have a habit of using Sasquatch in their promotional materials. Alex Pedikov pointed that out on the internet. Steve Coles got wind of it, and then he went and really put together this great, short 4-minute video. It's not very long for folks to go check it out. But the thing is that Steve nails, and, you know, timing is everything in this world. They post the train times as it's going near these particular areas, and they post that on their website. And the Sasquatch Expedition Campers, isn't that far away, and it runs really close to their property. So they could pull that hoax off or that promotional stunt with really little to no effort at all needing to be made.
So
we got a comment for somebody in the chat room that said it'd been great if a real Bigfoot came down the hill and beat the shit out of one in the video. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. It's mating season.
Oh, that would be worse. That would be, you know, much different outcome on that one, but funny.
Yeah.
Somebody get
Bill Rigby. Plus, they said before the ride started, they said to watch for Bigfoot on this ride. So, yeah, I mean, like, again, when we talk about videos, you know, Steve does a really good breakdown on it. We bring this up because it's probably the more recent. There have been a couple other ones. I saw one from Utah as well. I don't know if you guys saw that one at all. It was pretty strange. It's just pretty much like a costume, like the head part of it. I couldn't make out a whole lot. But somebody in the comments said, get some black electrical tape so they can wrap it around their ankles to keep the costume from bell-bottoming out. You know, it seems to be an issue with these costumes that maybe they were made for the retro look. I don't know, but definitely something that, you know, is problematic. It really calls out these, you know, diehard hoaxings.
There's people who still think this video is of a real Sasquatch. I'm like,
there's no way in hell.
Get a clue, people. Get a clue.
Well,
there's no
grasping
way
at what they can get so that they can legitimize something they may have seen, or there's a mental issue there. But I think at the end of the day, like, this is kind of the argument I have all the time, is these videos don't help the average researcher because basically it just makes us look stupid a lot of times. And like I've said 100 times, is a lot of, I've never seen anything, but the people that I've talked to that are highly intelligent say there's a lot of clues to this whole question. Okay. And they believe in the science behind it. And I can get behind that 110%. But videos like this and the Jacobson video and a couple of the other videos, and even shoot myself in the foot here, even the Patterson Gimlin video, they're great videos. But the problem with it is that you only see the little part they want to show you. What I want is, if you're Matt, if you tomorrow see a Sasquatch, what I want you to do is I want you to post me the part that has Sasquatch in it, but I also want you to post me every piece of footage you had all day, unless you're naked. Okay, I don't want to see that. Right? Yeah. Whatever. But I want to see the footage afterwards.
Yes.
Of you and your family freaking the F out that I saw whatever. Because otherwise, all you did was give me 5 seconds of I could have faked that. But if I could see what happened before and I could see what happened afterwards, I can legitimately look and go, that guy is truly scared. Or they were just out having a picnic. You know, like, or they were playing Frisbee and they see this thing. You know, like, you know, you watch any other nature video where they show the lion and the tiger and whatever. I'll tell you now, there might be a video of the lion eating a gazelle, but I can guarantee you that if you talk to the guy who took that video, he's got 4 hours of B-roll that he'll show you in a minute. It has nothing to do with that particular acting.
I agree with you 100%. Like, one of the photo, it's not a video, but a photo that I think is really compelling is the Beast of Tray shoots from up in Canada, where the guy was up there just taking pictures of the waterfall, and it didn't come until weeks later that he was looking down and he said, "Oh my God, there's something down there. It looks like an orangutan holding a dog." You know, and something like that is more compelling than the 5-second clip. And again, with the 5-second clip, you don't know if I'm going to have my phone out. Regardless, I'm going to be out there. I'm, you know, going to take. Hey, you know what? We're taking a hike in the woods. You know, I might get a picture of, you know, the wildlife that's coming through, and then, oh my God, there's something I can't see. Yeah, I'm going to try and blend, or at least give all those videos to someone to analyze, you know, because, you know, you can take your my word for it, your word for it, but you really need a third party to take a look at that and basically to say, okay, this does look like something that, you know, again, a normal hiking group went out and got this, because you could see everything that they were doing beforehand, and then you could see how scared they were afterwards. So you made a great point, James.
Don't you feel like, though, and, you know, so let me frame this up. When I had my encounter, you know, the thing I, you know, tell most groups when I'm doing this presentation, we had a Sony Handycam in our tent. We could have pulled out, had the night vision, you know, the Paris Hilton footage type videos that we could have went out and shot with. But at the time it was going through our head, none of us thought about grabbing that camera to go out. And we're researchers, right?
Yep.
And I always get a little bit more suspect when people that are researchers get footage.
Yes.
Because it just doesn't seem to be natural to get good footage. Because no matter how good you are, you're never going to be fully prepared for the shock that's going to hit your system when you do that. And I don't know of hardly any videos out there that really show that sense of shock and awe that hits you when you experience something you can't explain. They all seem so, I don't want to say cool, calm, and collective. They just all seem so generic and bland, like it's expected.
And you make valid points, but the thing is, the difference between your sighting and their sighting is, they're, like you said, they're prepared. Like, oh my God, I had my camera up just at the right time. I'm so excited that whatever. And they're not freaked out. They're not running. They didn't close their camp up and drive 5 miles away and tell somebody. They just go back to what they were doing. Where you, as a human, didn't go back to what you were doing. You were like, get your shit. We going in a truck. Okay. Where there's no.
But to your point with that, I think to be prepared for that, you would have to have that stuff going 24/7. Like I just don't think a person, no matter how firm they are or fearless, listen, we've listened to Derek Randall's talk about encounters. We've listened to Todd Neese talk about encounters. These are pretty rugged, tough guys, right? I'm not a tough guy by any means. There is lime jello that is more threatening than I am. But these tough guys get freaked out when this happens, okay? Nobody in their right frame of mind is going to be ready to get that footage unless you just happen to get it by happenstance. I just really believe that. And we're going to talk about one of these here in a couple minutes because I think some of the footage that happens is from static cameras that people just let set. They aren't necessarily manning them. I think that makes a big difference too. But so we'll get into this. Let's go to this next one. And maybe, hopefully, I can get you guys to see it. I don't know. I'm trying my best here. But David Shealy from July 8, 2000. Oh, you know what? It would help if I hit the share button first. Let's try this again. Let's roll this beautiful beam footage. My TQ is a little light tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I want you guys to be able to see this. Can you see that?
No.
Negative.
No, damn it. You know what? I hate this. Oh, here we go. Now can you see it?
Yep.
There we go. I see it. Yeah.
And then here we are, guys. This is the part with something, going across this little glade there. Now, this is in 2000, VHS quality, at a decent time of night. And if you want me to, I can replay that again a little bit if you missed the first part.
Is there any audio?
No. No, not on this particular video that's playing because I have it set to play the audio automatically.
I wonder why they cut the audio.
I don't know if they did or if it's just this is from the Smithsonian Magazine, this particular version. Really interesting. And Henry, can you speak to this a little bit more because you are probably more familiar with this one than I am.
Well, I've never seen this one, but it seems to be taking some pretty long strides. If it's a guy in a suit, it's a really good. It's amazing that somebody be able to walk like that in a suit.
Yeah, and I just don't know if the Smithsonian would kind of, jump on it if they had a credibility question.
So that's probably the best zoom he can get.
Now, that one itself kind of looks a little weird, doesn't it, right there?
It does.
In the background, I thought was a spaceship for a minute there.
That could have been great. But now watch this thing. It looks like it goes into it moves very oddly, does it not? But now it's like running, like it's got a wedgie.
Now, what is the zoom on this? I mean, is he that close, or is it just that he zoomed in that close?
I think it was. I think it was zoomed in.
Because it felt like at one point the thing kind of recognized someone was watching it, and that if it was that, it was getting,
The one thing that was going through that swamp area down there, and Henry, you could probably chime in on this one, is it's not like you're walking on grass or hard dirt with clumps of grass. It's mud. It's mud. It's muck.
Yeah, it would be slippery. It would be very slippery. Plus, there's gators in Florida too, so that's another consideration.
Go ape gator, my Sasquatch did.
But yeah, for something to move in that manner, unless there was some sort of boards up that it could make that type of walk along that path, and you would see that you would be able to see if there was any disturbance in the grass. There didn't appear to be anything. It looked like it was just going right through. And again, that's that stuff there. For one of us to go through it, it's going to take us probably like a half hour to make the same type of movement that whatever that was, did in about 15 seconds.
I think where I don't mind the fact that it made it through the glade without any question, because if it's an actual beast, then that's its area and it may know where to walk and where not to walk.
Yeah.
My issue per se is I want to see the aftercare. Like you said, it's muddy and nasty and whatever. So once that thing vacated, you can't tell me they couldn't have wandered in and got some pictures of tracks. Where's the audio? Where's the secondary information that everybody, because I want to hear the audio of the guy going, is he like, hey, there's Bigfoot, it's cool, did you do? Or is it like, what the, and he's flipping out trying to tell his buddy, hey, by the way, we might die from the big hairy beast, but I'm going to keep videoing because I'm the man.
But that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
that's the point. I think you've been driving home, but we've both been trying to make on that is just the lack of genuine response.
Yeah.
And it gets really hard to, gauge what that would be. One can only assume it would be, as like Baker's recalling it. I don't know if, even when you watch the train video that we just put, that was very nonchalant about it. I didn't see anybody screaming, oh my God, what's that? Or it was just all really kind of laid back and plain. And then they did play a video with the guy who took it. ABC News has a footage up there, and he was kind of a douche canoe, he seemed like. And so I'm not really surprised if it would have been fabricated, but I don't know. But the David Shealy, we know he's had there was another video out there too, Henry, right? From David. Do you know what year that was? It was on Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, gosh. I guess that was around 97 or 98.
Yeah, that was the one you were more familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this one that we just played was from 2000, a little different. But I just wanted to get your guys' eyes on that. Talk about, like I said, interesting. This whole concept of this episode happened one night when I couldn't go to sleep. So I started popping through Bigfoot videos online. And I went through a lot of the clickbait ones. The problem is they're compilations, and I don't want us to have to sit here in 35 minutes and watch compilation. Why did I have a hard time with that? Compilation videos. Wow. I promise I didn't have a stroke or something. That was weird.
Compilation.
Not compilating. So let's go back. I'm going to play a snippet now from a episode of Bigfoot Odyssey, episode 12, Mark Copeland from Oklahoma. Now, we talked about Mark a little bit before when we had David Wilbanks in the show. And he wrote about David in his book. He wrote about Mark in his book, Kiamichi Bigfoot. And it starts on page 85 of his great book. Go out and get yourself a copy if you haven't yet. David Wilbanks is one of my favorite investigators. Actually, when I first saw the documentary Bigfootville, I was obsessed with getting into contact with David, and he seemed to kind of fall away from the Bigfoot world. But I stumbled upon him one day when he was doing a Bigfoot YouTube channel called Bigfoot and More. And he also is into herping, which is about snakes. Baker, don't get that excited. And other activities. And so then I happened to get his book, read it, and this Mark Copeland scenario just, struck me as strange because he was getting, his security cameras were capturing dark humanoid forms around his home. So I went online to see if I could find any, and he had some YouTube channels, but I found one from, like I said, Bigfoot Odyssey, and I'm going to go ahead and play it. I already found it at the spot where I wanted to show us the videos, so I'm going to go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage for us again. Share. We'll put it on up here so you guys can see. You guys got that?
Yes.
Yeah, I see it.
And
what you're about to see here is just some of what Mark
you have the
captured
audio
on his property.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear it.
Right here.
You guys see that figure moving?
That could be anything at this point.
And we'll take another look at that a little more zoomed in.
Still.
It's kind of dark on my end. I don't know if it's my screen or what.
Well, it's a nighttime video too, so it's
I
getting really
see
bad.
it. I
And this is
just
2
don't.
hours
Nighttime.
later, and you're going to see what appears to be the whole family. I count 4 figures in this one.
I kind of see the smudges he calls family.
So I don't know what you guys thought about that, but it was pretty interesting to me that some of this footage was caught. And there's more videos out there. I need to find more of them because I really want to do a whole episode just on this gentleman's situation and maybe get David Wilbanks back on the show because it was really fascinating to me. Really caught my attention.
What caught my attention to? Go ahead, Sean.
No, go ahead. No, Matt, by all means, please.
I was gonna say for the show Bigfootville, what really kind of caught me, and this was you know, I think more compelling was during the daytime. They went out to one of the cabins, and there was an area that was clear cut, but it was in such a remote area. There's no direct access to it, and the native guide points out and says, "Hey, there's one right there." And you see this figure moving along through the brush. And again, it's not conclusive, but you know, that was really, to me, that was a compelling video to see.
Yeah. And, Oklahoma, just from its historical sense, a lot of Bigfoot sightings.
Yes.
Right? A lot of Bigfoot history, a lot of Bigfoot activity. And where this gentleman was having, and this wasn't just like he's had ongoing, he doesn't live there anymore. He moved his whole family away. I think Dave said to Missouri. And he was getting more footage. And this thing happened to be going around places where his kids were playing. Like he would go around the playground equipment and whatnot. And that he started getting some of these on the security camera. Like that was really telling to me. Like in some of the cameras, he hid in a way so he could get more. Like he hid one, I think, in one of those not windmill, but spinning dome things. Where I don't remember what he called them, whirlwind fans or something. And it was just really fascinating to me. And I'd just like to get more on this, but I just wanted to show you a little snippet so we could go back and talk about these a little later. Like I'm just trying to whet our appetites a little bit because some of these are going to be good. Some of them are going to be shit. Like I just wanted us to be on the same page with that. Henry's back.
Yeah. Had to do something.
All right, I think I can get us back to this one now again too, guys. Back to a little bit more of this video. If you want to see a little bit more of that one.
Now, it is a long shot and mildly ambiguous, but I think the striking thing to me is the behavior. They seem very apprehensive, like they're coming up closer and closer, and then that's as close as they get, and then go back into the woods. I don't think anyone can question that those are upright walking figures. Even though it is at a distance, it just looks like whatever that is on 2 legs. Now, is it Sasquatch? I don't know, but we are looking at the evidence here. You decide for yourself.
And we'll leave it at that one right there. We'll leave that for yourself. So any final thoughts on that one, guys? I know that one had 4. I couldn't see 4, but it doesn't mean anything.
I saw 2, maybe 3 if I really, really push it. It seemed like there were 2 in the foreground and then 2 in the background, like 2 close up to those trees and then 2 in the kind of field area. But it's like you said, it's ambiguous. Yes, it could be something, or it could be one figure and then we're kind of making the other 3 figures appear in our head. You know what I mean? And that still could be somebody just outside, you know, like
Henny, what you think?
I couldn't really see them, to be quite honest. But if they were there, if there were 4 of them, then that's if they were actual Sasquatch, then that's a pretty interesting video. If they're not, then they're 4 people.
Yeah, 4 people acting kind of peculiarly in front of a camera. But I mean that the camera would be there if that was the case, though, right? Pros and cons. As you start building these lists, you can really go down that rabbit hole. Go ahead, James.
Now, did that video and the show you're talking about? Because I've never seen it, but did they explain how long they were out there? What kind of things have already been seen? What happened afterwards? Because I'm trying to get an idea of the, like, if you caught it on video once, wouldn't there be did they leave the camera up for another week to see if they get another better glance?
Well, yeah, that's one of the things we were saying. It's a static camera. He had it out there to catch activity that was going on his property, and he happened to catch this. So this was purposefully put on his property. He had other cameras out there too, and happened to get this footage. So, to everybody to each their own to make up what it is. I find it kind of compelling, and I just want to know more. So I'll put the links in the video, the links to the videos in the show notes for this, so people can go and check them out and watch the video for themselves. Watch that entire documentary, Bigfoot Odyssey, episode 12. Pretty decent. So the next one, guys, this one is also recenter, and I would have liked to have been able to credit the original poster of this footage, but I can't find it because it's been reposted so many times. I couldn't find a direct link to the original post, so I just had one that managed to get it to me. And this one's going to be a little bit more difficult to see because it's train time. It's Mute Baker there. And I'll go ahead and share the screen now. Get your eyes a little cooler in there. You see that, Henry? It's going to be this little box right here.
Fucking brick clean in half, and then this next one.
Got a good shot of it. That might be a better one there.
And it's going up the hill.
Hey, what about just digging a hole and burying them? This is only 2 creek. Yeah, that's right. What about up there? What's up there? Oh, that's not it. Yes, sir. Well, you can see where something's dragged us down there. I didn't look to see if the other one was still up there. Your boss will be always open up.
No, just put my boot next to it. Fucking brick clean in half.
A little bit of language there. Still,
that was just footprints, though.
And the half-ripped hog, I mean, that was interesting.
That too.
Matt, you wanted to talk on this one a little bit, so go ahead. I'm going to give you the floor.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of red flags with this. One thing is being out in the country and knowing people that slaughter hogs or they're hunting hogs. You know what? For one thing, that's a clean rip. I won't call that a rip. That's a clean cut of that hog. That hog looks like it was cut with a saw in half, and there's no blood, there's no innards. Now, could it have been killed somewhere else and this wasn't the kill site? Yeah, but I'm really not inclined to believe that it was torn in half by anything other than for a bone saw or something in that matter. As for the footprints, I'm going to go back to a comment from another group that I belong to, a Facebook group, and the guy said, "Hey, with real feet, real toes create scalloped edges at grade." And you can see that by, and he explains that this was by, you can see that walking in sand barefoot, look at your tracks. But if you look at the Ray Wallace type stompers, they didn't have the cuts between the toes. And with the impressions made, it was very similar to the impressions that were made there. So, he's, the poster had pretty much said, and he's a pretty decent guy when it comes to talking about the footprints. I'm inclined to believe that, and again, it's something we recently had prints that were shared up in Kinzua Reservoir, and with that, those prints, you can actually see that scallop. These here, you don't see that, and then you see the two prints. And then you see where it went up a hill, and it's two lines that go up the hill. So and that there is just so many red flags with this.
And just the look of disappointment on your face, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
is telling.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, no blood, like you said, no blood, no gore or nothing. No dragging of blood that would indicate it was a fresher kill, right?
Yep.
There's nothing to it. It's a perfectly cut in half hog. The cookie cutter footprints are just bleh, like boring. Yep. Yes, they're bigger than that guy's foot, but I'm just not buying that. It was just definitely I don't know. Bake, Henry, go ahead.
Okay, so if you go back in time, so many years, 10 years or more, you will see a nice little video made by the Sasquatch Experience of my foot in mud. And I will be honest with you, if you do the right angles and you do the things right, sticking my foot in the mud and us taking pictures and video are not much different than what that guy did. And I can tell you now that if you do the angles right, I could make my foot look bigger by using someone who has a smaller foot. So in other words, like I'm a size 13 and a half in shoes, give or take. It matters how bad the diabetics is at the moment, how much water I retain, and how generally fat I am. But let's go size 12 to 13. Forker, what size is your foot?
10 and a half.
9, 10 and a half? Okay. So you put my foot down, which is larger than his, and you put his foot next to mine, and I can guarantee,
which is wider than yours.
It's going to look like, oh my God, look at this shoe compared to this foot to this thing. And I think a lot of these videos, the other thing is like, and I realize they do it for what they do it for, but like if they were using it as actual physical evidence, I again beat this to death, but I want to report who was there, what size are their feet, what other things have they seen, how many hogs have they lost, what made them think it might be this otherwise than the foot. And then I'm more inclined to, well, I'll use the word care. Your red flags are obvious, yes, but like I personally, and we weren't trying to fake a sighting, we're just showing how to make a footprint because we didn't know any better, and I think you can still find the video somewhere. It's probably on YouTube.
No, we got rid of that. We put that away.
No,
we also baked it. We also baked that thing in an oven for 375 degrees, 45 minutes. We knew nothing about making footprints at that time.
Yeah,
it was great bullshit. It was great bullshit.
We used plaster.
But here's the thing, Matt. Even though we put that footprint in a shadow box with the information on it at our table, and we were using it as an example of just a knowledge piece. So many people wanted to know the story behind the footprint and wanted to buy it from us. Like they weren't listening that this was a human foot. They cared about it was a foot. There was a map of Lycoming County with a dot and a story why we were at that area, and they just kept going clinging on to the fact that, so Bake and I went out to that area because there was a Bigfoot sighting that had happened there before. We went out to cast a footprint track because somebody had found footprints there. So we wanted to know what the soil was like, if you could make a legitimate footprint or not. Like, how reasonable was it to assume how you could make it? But even though we put all that together, people still, they kept insisting that this is a Bigfoot print. It was James Baker's foot. But people still wanted to buy the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, to me,
I had some
that's,
people who wanted to see my feet too, but that was a whole other freaking.
but to the state of even then, the level of romanticism that are through people's minds when Bigfoot stuff happens, and when critical thinking, even when the evidence is pushed right in front of you, is alarming. Like, and that's where we're at with, and I think video makes it worse because to some of these people, that's really tangible. There's something there, and they can latch onto it and use that for whatever it is they really need. And it was just a little
creepy,
but interesting for us to kind of go through and see that, alas, you know, more Bigfoot evidence. We got this one, the Brown footage, the Stacy Brown footage. Guys, I don't know if you're familiar with this one at all. Baker, pay attention. I think you're going to like this one. Because this one's fascinating to me and hasn't been debunked, has it, Henry?
Not that I'm aware of.
Henry, you want to give a little background on it while I cue it up here?
Well, apparently, Stacy Brown Jr. and the late Stacy Brown Sr. were out in the forests in Florida, and they had a thermal, and it was actually Stacy Brown Sr.'s thermal.
Yes.
That's the camera that took the footage.
You're getting the full video here. This is from Bigfoot Stacy on YouTube. Do you see that, guys? Right there's our object.
Yeah. Can't see it yet.
No. Are you guys seeing it? Oh, no, hold on.
There we go.
Hold on. I'll play that again for you guys just so you can see where it was at. I'll get this right yet. You see it now?
Yep.
Is this aerial footage?
No, you'll see in a second.
Oh, okay.
And you can check this out on Bigfoot Stacy on YouTube. The video's right there. So their video, we're just showing it for educational purposes.
So they use Cliff Brockman as their
well, Cliff looked at
legitimacy.
Well, Stacy was on that $10 million Bigfoot bounty too, right? So, I mean, this was what? Did you see the size of the mitts on that thing as it was crossing that area? There's some big hands on that thing. What do you think, Baker? This is the first time you've seen it. What do you think?
And where was this? Where was this at?
Florida. Yep.
Florida.
Florida.
My problem with Florida is I'm not 100% against an ape-like creature in Florida. We've had this discussion multiple times. From Florida to Texas, the Everglades area, I really believe there's a large ape percentage. I believe that if apes were going to live in our part of America, that would be the perfect environment. So I'm not against an ape-like creature. I'm just not 100% it's a Bigfoot. Secondly is it falls into that same tripe of they saw it, it went away. What's the, was there more footage that showed nothing? What did they, what kind, did they walk in afterwards and look for tracks? That's where I get hit with a lot of these. But my main thing with being Florida, we had this discussion with a friend of mine the other day is all these minks escaped from Pennsylvania. And as it's getting colder in Pennsylvania, they're going to start moving south. They're going to take the Appalachian Trail. They're going to take any easy causeway to get to warmer temperatures. And you can watch in probably the next 6 months, there will be an abundance of minks in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, wherever it's warm enough for them to survive better. And there's so many I don't remember what the word for it is non-native invasive. Yeah.
Invasive species, yeah.
Yep.
From Florida to Texas because mom didn't want a reptile. So I don't, between that and the new storm systems that are dropping ostriches in Maine or dropping emus in Maine, I don't see where this isn't plausible. I'm just not 100% sure it's a Bigfoot that helps.
Well, that's one big chimp at 8 foot 5 inches. If Cliff Barrickman's measurements are right, that's a big monkey. And to me, the uniformity of the thermal, right, that was pretty compelling info. And Dr. Meldrum states that too when he was doing his own review of the brown footage. Henry, what more you got on this for us? You've probably seen this many, many times.
I've seen it several times. I know that Cliff and the folks at Finding Bigfoot, when they had Stacy on the show, actually they had both Stacys on the show, and they were pretty impressed with it.
What about you? Are you impressed with it?
Yeah, it's good footage. I don't know if it's a Sasquatch or if it's some sort of a chimp or not, but it's interesting footage. That's for
What's
sure.
interesting of it for you? What for you makes it stand out and say, "Damn, this is really good"?
Well, the fact that it jumps. It's almost like it jumps across, leaps across.
Do you get that Patterson-esque kind of silhouette as it goes across there?
Yes, definitely.
Now, Matt, somebody that looks at evidence all the time, you have that classic Patty movement there. Mm-hmm. Is that something that would throw a red flag for you, or would that be, hey, you know what, this thing walks like something else we've caught on film at one point in time?
Well, you know what, I don't want to diverge completely from the subject, but when it comes to evidence, I would be looking at the raw video to see whether it had been altered in any way. There's metadata if it's done with a cell phone or any sort of smart device that would include stuff like GPS coordinates. Now, as for the FLIR, if the FLIR has not been tampered with in any way, that seems to be pretty good footage, and being able to replicate that in the field would be fantastic. If you could say, okay, this object was 40 yards away at this tree, because you can kind of get where they were, and I think they were able to do that, and it's very compelling, especially in regards to the limb size. The limb sizes, particularly with the arms, it really kind of made it stand out from other videos.
Definitely has some, proportional pieces to it.
Yes.
Right. Well, that's the ones we have tonight. We did have some Stacy Brown footage, which we played. Todd Standing. Matt, why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, of course, he puts a video out on, I think it was Sunday, in regards to, compelling evidence, definite proof. And what he found was basically stick structures.
Apex
with no... The one thing that really kind of gets me is I know that they're more in an alpine forest, kind of a boreal environment, but there's no other sign there. There's no prints. There's no impressions. they just found these trees, and they're arbitrarily saying that the trees are set up north, south, east, and west.
No.
You can see that there's other trees that are leaning on other trees in that area. So these, this particular set of trees, is it just something where you had deadfall that just happened to fall in the right spot? I'm just not. I'm just not 100% believer in these gigantic tree structures. That are. I think the one he said was like an 80-foot tree, but yet you can see these pine trees, and they're they're relatively weaker structures, so so there's a good chance that they are going to fall, as you can see in the video.
Look at all
here.
these
There's
dead
a lot
falls
of them.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
This is
there
storm
one?
damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So he is stating that is definitive proof, but for me, I'm looking for something else.
So okay. So tomorrow, if I can get out of work early enough or something like that, or another day, I can go up to my land, and I can tell you now that there are 5 or 6 different tree structures. Okay. The tree structures are the tree fell north, the tree fell south, and then a tree fell west, and they made a teepee because the first tree hit the second one and they stayed at an angle. And when the other one fell, it went like that. It's not, we were at, was it Creature Weekend or was it OBC?
OBC. I know what you're talking about.
And we're at the bar, and there's this gentleman just pushing at the one, I think it was Cliff, wasn't it?
Yeah, was it Cliff?
Okay. Just pushing at him pictures. This has got to be a Sasquatch structure. This has got to be a Sasquatch structure. Look how it's got it. He's doing all this scientific calculation. And Cliff said one thing that everybody just sat back in awe at because we were all thinking it, but he said it. Did you see it make it? What?
Yeah.
Did you see tracks around it? Did you have evidence of a creature living there? No. Did you have a bunch of you've got nothing? Back up a second, breathe, get it out of my face. Because you can ask Sean, there was a spot in my land that it looked like 2 trees were like this and the third tree was like this. But you know what you could also see is 2 of the trees still the roots connected to the ground where they fell.
Yeah.
The other tree just kind of leaned that way. It's not the key to the whole conversation isn't what you find, it's finding what made it.
Well, it's the whole theme to this kind of exercise tonight, us taking a trip down some of these videos, is that really it's all subjective without any kind of concrete proof or comparison in the moment. It's all subjective. Like one man's Bigfoot's another man's big pile of leaves piled up behind a stump that now all of a sudden gives it form, and pareidolia sets in, right? Like it's difficult, and until we find some sort of specimen that's going to give us the answers, we just got to do better. We got to really raise the bar and raise the standards for what we accept as video proof and video evidence. And the clickbait adds to these, go and make you want to go watch them. They do. The problem is, and it's kind of even the problem we've talked about at the beginning of the show with people and their so many witness encounter driven podcasts, and how much of that's creepypasta to actual sightings. We give you the ultimate guide to hoaxing now every week when you tune in and listen to the shows. We tell you everything to do to create the perfect Bigfoot sighting, create the perfect Bigfoot report, and it's amazing to me by how many of them still fall miserably short. And that we continuously drive this artificial need to make Bigfoot this big, scary monster because it clicks, you get clickbait, you get views, you get people to drive to your channel. And again, if that's your thing, all that's okay. But don't call yourself science and don't call yourself research. Call yourself fiction and be okay with that. Because when you don't do that, you hurt the integrity of the scientific process upon which some of us are trying to embark on. And a discovery science that we're really trying to get credibility to. So if you're out there making this content, your desire is to make cash, great. I'm not opposed to that. Just make sure you're putting a disclaimer on there that it's fake as shit. Because it makes those of us that aren't after fake as shit stuff, we're after the real stuff. Makes it a lot more complicated. I'm Sean Forker, and that's my final thought on this matter. Henry, James, Matt, any final thoughts from you?
No,
Well, this was a really good show. Yeah. This was a really good show. Hopefully there'll be a part 3 of this. I'm sure there
coming
will.
down the line.
Yeah.
If you send us your videos, we will make a part 3.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm gonna do another push for this outfit, but I'm gonna tell you, the ones that are doing it scientifically and putting out a product with for people to watch, Small Town Monsters. They're fantastic because they're not when they do the On the Trail series, they're not out there stating, oh my God, we may have got something. They did the main episode and they were quite clear with saying, hey, we didn't get anything, and I mean, just their honesty and their integrity with them is just goes lengths with me. So shout out to Small Town Monsters, Alex and the crew. I mean, they do a fantastic job, and I hope they keep it up, because that should be the model that people that are doing research and also looking for that entertainment, I can't say entertainment value, but that they're trying to put it out on video. That's the model they should follow.
Right. Infotainment, where you're getting information and still being entertained. And honestly, as a full disclosure, that's why I, fund their products. That's why I do the Kickstarter and I do the promotion, because I believe in what they do. Folks, you've been listening to the Sasquatch Experience, SasquatchExperience.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, at Sasquatch Experience. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, at SquatchEXP. You can find all of us from our webpage, SasquatchExperience.com. Just click on us and you'll go to all our social medias if you want to connect. We thank you for tuning in and watching yet another episode with us. We'll be back in a couple weeks with something new. Henry, give us those closing words, my friend.
Y'all be good or be good at it.
And for as little as $2 a month, you can support us over on our Patreon and get some pretty cool shit coming your way. That's right. Folks, we thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Sasquatch Experience. Please rate and review wherever this podcast is consumed. To share your experience, visit us on Facebook or email us, squatchexperience@gmail.com. Keep on squatching.